Today I'm exploring Iceland. Iceland is a country on the edge of Europe, but also quite close to Northern America. It sits on the ridge that goes through the the Atlantic Ocean. You can kind of see this ridge here, where the plates are separating, and volcanic activity occurs, and that creates islands. In fact, one of the world's newest islands, called Surtsey, is I think it was born in 1960, and it's right down here. This is Surtsey Island, one of the newest islands in the world. This island used to actually be quite a bit bigger when it was originally created due to the volcanic activity, but the sea is eroding it, and it may even disappear by 2100 if that erosion continues. Let me quickly talk about the beautiful shape of Iceland. Look at the colors. It's like a paint palette. We have whites, we have greens, browns. So we have obviously a very mountainous country. The white shows where there's actually glaciers. See here, a very beautiful glacier moving down here. And this combination of water coming down from the glaciers and the volcanic activity creates geothermal electricity, which the Icelandic people use to great effect in their country. We can actually see one of the hydro dams that they have created maybe later on. I can't actually find it right now. I have it open on a different tab. We'll jump to it here. This is one of the bigger dams, and it just shows the water being backed up right up to the glacier. And if we zoom in a bit again here, you see the water being backed right up, and then we come up to the glacier area. We can zoom in even more and show exactly where that water is being fed into the dam network from this big, massive, yeah, basically ice and snow. Some of the geothermal locations look like this. So here we see steam escaping from the geothermal power plant, and basically they're pumping colder water down into the ground. The ground heats it up and comes up as warmer water, which they then turn into steam from the difference on it. You can kind of see those, yeah, they're like little pipes coming out of the ground, big pipes even, and they're coming up as warm water and going through this pipe network. Here we have, yeah, different parts of that system. Pretty cool. Quite a large network of pipes when we explore all of these. Very cool system. In fact, they've used some of this in Reykjavik to heat footpaths. Iceland, some of the busiest streets in the main capital, and sidewalks are indeed heated because it is a country that is often very, very cold in winter time and very icy. So to improve tourism, they've actually gone and heated those paths to have them ice free, I suppose. This is a little bit more about Surtsey, because Surtsey is very interesting. It is considered one of the newest islands in the world. Apparently, there's one now in Japan, which is even newer. This one was, yeah, created in 1963 to 1967. That's when that volcanic eruption occurred, which began 130 meters below sea level and then reached the surface in 1963 and continued for a couple of years. With the size, yeah, starting 2.7 kilometers squared, and now it's only 1.3 kilometers squared. Actually, that was in 2012. It was probably even smaller than that. Named after some Norse mythology giant. Yeah, the actual story of these islands are pretty cool, but the whole Iceland story is kind of about that, about the being created from volcano activity. Iceland is culturally and politically linked with Europe, but it's the most sparsely populated country of Europe. Only 380,000 people in the country as a whole. Is that correct, or is that just the capital? 276,000 people. Yeah, look at that population pyramid. Very much maintaining what they have, not growing anymore. Not really a pyramid at all. You can see fertility rate is 1.95, which is very close to the replacement rate of 2.1. Actually, saw an article about people's life expectancy having gone down lately in Iceland, but I don't know how true that is in the long-term trend. Yeah, also these volcanic eruptions that happen in Iceland have halted flights. 100,000 flights were basically grounded in Europe, as the ash cloud from those volcanic eruptions basically make it impossible for airplanes to function normally. I think it even makes it quite dangerous for those airplanes. Let's look a little bit more into the geothermal. Iceland's uniquely active geology has led to natural conditions especially suitable for harnessing geothermal energy. And because of this geothermal energy, there's actually a whole industry of electricity-heavy smelters. Smelters used for making aluminium. I do have this open here somewhere. This is a smelter here for aluminium, close to Reykjavik. There was actually a boat here on the Google Maps coming in. I can kind of see one here as well. Basically, they have to like melt materials at very, very high heat, and to get to this high heat, you need often electricity. So geothermal power plants are a good way to do that, because you want it to be cheap. Otherwise, it doesn't make your production that viable. We have another one here. This is a bit further north. Again, there's big, massive sheds. It would be very cool to explore that on the inside, actually. But yeah, there you go. There's also a similarly colored boat coming in there to collect materials. Yeah, cool. Other than that, I have some more these geothermal pictures. We kind of already went through that. This is the island Surtsey again. These are some other interesting islands. Flat Tay Island. Little archipelagos, really. Iceland is just full of these random bits of yeah, land coming up. There was a very long flat island here. I thought that was also kind of interesting. But this just goes on and on and on around the entire coastline. These interesting small islands. Just yeah, no end to the amount of them. Just the shapes of Iceland are really crazy. Like this whole section here reminds me of parts of Svalbard, the Norwegian archipelago in the north, as well. Another bit about a glacier here. Just nice looking glaciers. You can kind of see the shape of the glacier with the kind of curves in it. Yeah, here you can kind of see that radial shape as it kind of moves down the mountain, bit by bit. This one's a bit bigger. Here it has actually got bits broken off and floating, in kind of like a lake at the bottom of the glacier. Surprised? I wonder is there any kind of a hydro system at the end of that particular river? There might be, but I'm not going to go looking for it now. Here you see some of the pasture lands, I suppose. Yeah, quite green, looking quite fertile there actually, that particular part. Okay, I think that's all the interesting images I'm going to show you today. Keeping this video relatively short in terms of news stories. Let's look at the economy for a minute. Fish and fish products being the main export goods. There you have your 38% aluminium, agricultural products, medical, yeah, ferrosilicon. Don't know what that is. Might be another. Maybe that's one of the materials that they actually can harvest there from the rock. I don't know. I'm making that up. Main export partners: Netherlands, United Kingdom. Look at that. Netherlands is a very, very big export partner. 23%. Of course, Netherlands is kind of a hub for trade too, so that might make a bit of sense. Imported goods, yeah, petrol, aluminium oxide for the actual production of the aluminium, carbon graphite, electronics, cars. On the actual Wikipedia for the normal, yeah, for Iceland in general, it's talking about how it was originally, I guess, colonized or settled on by Norwegians in 874 AD, and they brought with them Gaelic slaves, which would actually be Irish and even Scottish slaves. That's quite interesting. I didn't know that before. So that's worth noting. Note Irish slaves having lived in Iceland at a very early stage. Ethnic groups, mostly Icelandic, a bit of Polish there. Of course, Polish would have emigrated from Poland during the financial crisis as well. Small bit Lithuanian, 7% other. That's interesting. Religions mostly Christian. Yeah, majority Christian there on the island. Okay, that's almost my entire video. I also wanted to mention just here on the electricity, just to look at it again. Hydro and geothermal are the main sources, and it comes off as 100% low carbon, 100% renewable. That's interesting. Go back on the yearly charts. Can't really ever see any data for anything other than those two sources, which is a bit curious. I'm sure they must have some sort of other production. Does Iceland use oil for power? Imported oil fulfills most of Iceland's remaining energy needs. Yeah. But most of it is green, which is pretty cool, at least according to these resources. Gas, there was a gas power plant, hydropower plants, yeah, first in 1904, that's pretty a big deal. That would supply this part of Iceland with electricity to run an aluminium smelting plant that could produce 33,000 tons of aluminum a year. So you can see there why it's important, 210 megawatts. That was in 1969 when the first smelters were beginning there. Yeah, basically making good use of their natural resources. And other than that, on the Freedom House Index, I also wanted to point out this 94, which is quite free, very democratic European country. Okay, that was my video on Iceland. I hope you enjoyed it and have a nice day.